The night was cold, dark, and heavy with rain. The streetlights flickered weakly as if they were tired. On the empty roadside, a lonely bus stop stood like a forgotten shelter. And under that bus stop, a young woman named Aisha stood alone with a small bag in her hand. Her clothes were wet from the rain. Her eyes were red from crying. Her hands were shaking, not because of the cold, but because of fear. She had no home to go back to, no one to call, no idea what would happen next. Cars passed by, splashing water on the road. Nobody stopped. Nobody even looked at her. To the world, she was just another stranger in trouble. But inside, her whole life had fallen apart. Aisha looked at her phone. No messages. No missed calls. Nothing. She wiped her tears and tried to breathe slowly, but the pain inside her chest felt too heavy. She whispered to herself, "Why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong?" She sat on the cold bench. Her mind was full of memories that hurt her more than the rain ever could. Every time she blinked, she saw the same moment, again the moment when her husband pushed her out of the house. The moment her life broke. But suddenly, a bright light flashed in front of her. A black luxury car slowed down. Its engine hummed softly. The window rolled down halfway. A deep, calm voice spoke from the car. "You shouldn't be here alone." Aisha froze. She didn't move. She didn't answer. The voice came again, more gentle this time. "It's raining. Come with me." She looked up slowly. She could not see the man's face clearly because of the rain and the darkness, but she saw his eyes. They looked serious, but not dangerous, more like concerned. Still, she did not trust anyone. Not anymore. She stepped back a little. The man understood her fear. He did not open his door. He did not force her. He only said one more thing. "You don't remember me, but I remember you." This confused her. Remember her? Who was he? The man continued, "It's not safe here. The buses stopped an hour ago. You will not find help in this place." Aisha hugged her bag tightly. She thought for a moment. She had two choices: stay here alone in the cold night, or sit in the stranger's car and take a risk. Her heart beat faster. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to run away, but she had nowhere to run to. Her feet felt weak. She had been standing for too long, crying for too long. She finally whispered, "Do I know you?" The man nodded slowly. "Yes, but maybe you don't remember. A long time ago." He paused as if searching for the right words. "You helped me when no one else did." Aisha blinked. Helped him? Who was he talking about? Before she could ask, a thunderclap boomed across the sky. The rain started falling even harder. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. The man noticed this and spoke again, firmly this time. "Please, you will get sick. Just sit for now. I will not harm you." Something in his voice felt honest. Something in his eyes felt familiar. But she couldn't remember from where. Finally, with slow steps, Aisha moved toward the car, but she did not sit inside yet. She stood near the door, hesitating. Her mind kept warning her, "Don't trust anyone." But her heart whispered, "You need help." The man waited patiently. No pressure, no anger. Just silence. Aisha took a deep breath, and finally, she opened the car door. Just as she stepped inside, the man said softly, "My name is Zion, and you are safe now." But Aisha had no idea. This night, this rain, this stranger would change her life forever. Because this was not just a car ride. This was the beginning of a story she never expected. When Aisha sat inside Zion's warm car, her mind slowly drifted backward. The sound of the rain tapping on the windows reminded her of another time in her life, a time when she believed she was safe, loved, and valued. But that time ended long before tonight. Aisha had married Fahad 3 years ago. She remembered the day clearly. Her parents were proud, her friends were happy, and Fahad stood beside her with a charming smile. He was confident, attractive, and from a respected family. Everyone told her she was lucky. In the first few months, everything looked perfect. Fahad took her out for dinners, bought her flowers, and held her hand in front of everyone. She believed this was the beginning of a beautiful life, but slowly. Things changed. It started with small comments from his mother. Do you know any home remedies for fertility? Women must take care of these things. At first, Aisha laughed politely. She didn't think it was serious. But then the questions grew more direct, more painful. You have been married for months. Why is there no baby? When will you give us an heir? What is the problem with you? Aisha tried to ignore it, but the pressure kept growing. She and Fahad decided to get medical tests. Aisha was nervous but hopeful. When her reports came, the doctor smiled. Everything is normal. You are perfectly fine. She felt relieved. She expected Fahad to feel the same. But when they collected his reports, something changed in his eyes. His smile disappeared. His hands shook slightly. The doctor looked at him with concern. Fahad, we need to discuss your results privately. Fahad refused. He grabbed the file quickly. He hid it inside his jacket. Aisha asked softly, Is everything okay? But Fahad walked out without answering. That night, he didn't talk to her. The next day, he avoided her. Soon, he began blaming her for things she didn't do. He came home late. He stopped looking at her the way he used to. Aisha felt confused and scared. What had she done wrong? Why was he angry? One evening, she found his medical report hidden in a drawer. Her hands trembled as she opened the file. Her eyes widened when she read it. It was not her. The problem was him. Fahad was the one who had infertility issues. Aisha sat on the floor, shocked. Not because he had a medical problem, because he had been hurting her for something that wasn't even her fault. When she confronted him gently, he exploded. Don't you dare talk about that report. You think you're perfect? My family will never know about this. He slapped the report out of her hand. His voice echoed through the room. From that day, the emotional abuse became worse. His mother criticized her for everything. Look at you. You can't even give us a child. Aisha tried to explain. She tried to show the truth, but nobody listened. Nobody wanted to listen. She cried alone at night, holding a pillow tightly so nobody would hear her sobs. She prayed for things to get better. She hoped Fahad would sit beside her, hold her hand, and tell her it wasn't her fault. But that day never came. Instead, one afternoon, Fahad's mother gathered everyone in the living room. Aisha stood in the center, confused and nervous. Her mother-in-law pointed at her sharply. We cannot keep a barren woman in this house. Aisha felt the ground slip beneath her feet. She whispered, I'm not infertile. Please listen. But Fahad cut her off. His voice was cold, almost unrecognizable. Pack your things. Leave my house. She stared at him in disbelief. But I did nothing wrong. He didn't blink. He didn't show mercy. You can never give me a child. That is enough. Her heart shattered. She felt like her whole world was collapsing. His mother threw a small bag at her feet, her clothes, her few belongings, her dignity. They pushed her out of the door. The last thing she heard was Fahad's voice saying, Don't come back. And that was the moment. She became truly alone. Aisha's breath hitched in the car, remembering those words. Her eyes filled again, but she wiped them quickly. Zion, driving quietly beside her, glanced at her gently. He had no idea yet how much pain she carried in her heart. The morning Aisha was thrown out felt like a nightmare. It began quietly, almost calmly. The sky was bright, the birds were singing, and the house was filled with the smell of breakfast. But inside, a storm was preparing itself. Aisha woke early and went to the kitchen to help her mother-in-law. She hoped maybe today would be different. Maybe today she would hear a kind word. She had no idea she was preparing breakfast for the same people who were planning her destruction. Her mother-in-law did not look at her. She only said sharply, Don't burn the bread. You always ruin things. Aisha kept her head down. Yes, mother. She tried her best, but her hands were shaking with fear and sadness. When she took the tray to the table, she noticed something strange. Fahad was already sitting there, dressed perfectly, but his face looked cold like a stranger. His father sat silently, avoiding her eyes. And then she noticed the center table. A medical report file was placed there. Her heart stopped. her medical report, or his. Before she could speak, her mother-in-law stood with folded arms. "We have called you here for an important matter." Aisha looked at Fahad, confused and scared. But he looked at her with eyes that held no love, no pain, no guilt, only anger. His mother opened the file dramatically, even though she knew exactly what was inside. "We got you checked again. The doctor says you cannot become a mother." Aisha's mouth opened slightly. She felt like someone had hit her again. "Checked again? Without my permission?" Her voice shook. "Mother, I already did tests." The doctor said, "I am fine." Her mother-in-law slammed the file on the table. "Don't lie. This report says you are barren." Aisha stepped back a little. She knew exactly what this was. This was not her report. This was the same report she found hidden in Fahad's drawer. His report. Her throat tightened. She whispered, "That is not mine." "That is." Fahad stood up suddenly. His voice thundered across the room. "Enough. Stop lying." Aisha felt tears burning her eyes. "Fahad, please. This is your report, not mine. You know the truth." Silence fell for 1 second. Then his mother shouted, "How dare you blame my son?" She grabbed Aisha's arm roughly. "You have no shame. You cannot give us a child, and now you blame the man who married you." Aisha looked at Fahad with trembling lips. "Tell them the truth, please." His jaw tightened. He looked away. He wasn't going to defend her. He wasn't going to speak the truth. Her mother-in-law marched toward Aisha's room and began throwing her. "Close out. You will leave this house today." Aisha stood frozen. She felt like the world was collapsing around her. She followed them to the front door, trying to stop them. "Please, listen to me. Please, I didn't do anything." But her mother-in-law pushed her aside. "Take your bag and get out." Aisha held her chest. Her heart felt like it was tearing apart. Her father-in-law watched quietly from the corner. He said nothing. He did nothing. Aisha turned to Fahad one last time. "You know it's not me. You know I can be a mother. Why are you doing this?" Fahad's face was cold, emotionless. "Because I don't want a wife who can't give me a child." Aisha felt her soul break. She whispered, barely able to breathe, "But the problem is not mine." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "No one will ever know that. I will not carry that shame." Shame. That one word destroyed her completely. Her mother-in-law grabbed her arm again and dragged her toward the door. "Leave and never return." The door opened. Her bag was thrown outside. Her clothes were scattered on the ground. Aisha stepped out slowly. Her tears mixed with the dust. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. Before the door slammed shut, she looked at Fahad one last time. He did not look back. The door closed loudly. It felt like the sound of her life ending. Aisha picked up her small bag with shaking hands. She walked away slowly, step by step, toward a future she couldn't see. A future that would eventually lead her to a lonely bus stop, a cold night, and a stranger who would say, "Come with me." As the car moved through the quiet, rainy streets, Aisha sat silently in the passenger seat. She held her bag tightly on her lap as if it was the only thing left in her world. The warm air from the car heater touched her cold hands, but the cold inside her heart stayed. Zion did not speak for a while. He didn't want to rush her or make her uncomfortable. He simply drove carefully, keeping a gentle distance, as if he already understood that she was fragile, broken. But Aisha kept glancing at him from the corner of her eye. Who was he? Where had she seen those eyes before? Finally, after a long moment, she whispered, "Why? Why did you stop for me?" Zion looked ahead and said calmly, "I couldn't leave you alone there. You looked like you needed help." There was something honest in his tone that made her chest tighten. But the question inside her, it still remained. "You said you remember me." She spoke softly, almost afraid. "But I don't remember you." Zion gave a small smile, not a happy smile, but a gentle one, full of old memories. "It was years ago. We met in college. You were helping students prepare for final exams. I was one of them." Aisha blinked slowly. college, she tried to search her mind. She remembered helping many students back then. She enjoyed tutoring. But she couldn't recall anyone named Zion, he continued. One day, I came to class late. I was going through a difficult time. My father was ill. I couldn't study properly. The day before the exam, you gave me your notes and said, he glanced at her and finished the sentence softly. You will pass. Don't lose hope. Aisha's eyes widened a little. Something shifted inside her memory. A boy with tired eyes, sitting alone, looking worried. Yes, she had given notes to someone like that. She whispered, "That was you?" He nodded. "Yes, I passed because of you." I never forgot that kindness. Aisha felt a strange emotion, surprise, confusion, and a small hidden warmth she didn't expect. But before she could respond, Zion slowed the car near a signal. A soft voice came from the back seat. "Baba, who is she?" Aisha turned quickly. A small boy around 6 years old was sitting in a child's seat. He had big eyes, curly hair, and a shy expression. He was peeking at her carefully, holding a small toy car in his hand. Zion smiled gently at him through the mirror. "Her name is Aisha. She is a friend." The boy nodded quietly, but his eyes stayed on Aisha. There was innocence in those little eyes, but also sadness, like someone who had lost something important. Aisha looked back at Zion, surprised. He is your son?" Zion's face softened with a mix of pride and pain. "Yes. His name is Aryan." She didn't ask anything more. She didn't know if she had the right. But inside she wondered where Aryan's mother was. Zion seemed like a gentle, responsible man. What had happened? As the rain slowed, the car entered a peaceful neighborhood with big houses and gardens. Aisha's heart started beating faster. "Where are we going?" she asked nervously. Sidan replied calmly, "To my house." "Don't worry. You can stay there for tonight. You need rest." Aisha's fingers tightened around her bag. I can't stay in your house. It's not right." He looked at her with soft eyes. "You have no home right now, Aisha. I'm not asking you to stay forever. Just for safety. Just until you breathe normally again." His kindness made her eyes sting with tears again. Why was he helping her? The world had only shown her cruelty for so long. The car stopped in front of a large but peaceful-looking house. Warm lights glowed from the windows. Aryan unbuckled his seat and held his father's hand. He looked at Aisha shyly, then quietly offered her his small toy car. Aisha blinked, surprised. "For me?" He nodded. For the first time in days, a tiny smile formed on Aisha's lips. Zion watched them and spoke softly. "You saved me once, Aisha. Maybe. Now it is my turn to save you." Aisha's heart trembled. She had no idea. This house, this child, this man were about to become a part of her life in ways she never imagined. When Aisha stepped into Zion's house, she felt as if she had walked into another world. The place was warm, quiet, and filled with soft lights. The air smelled like fresh flowers, and the silence felt safe in a way she had not felt for a very long time. Aryan walked ahead of her, holding his small toy car. He looked back at Aisha every few seconds, as if making sure she was still coming. Something in his shy behavior made her heart soften. Zion placed his keys on the table and said gently, "You can sit anywhere. You must be tired." Aisha nodded slowly. Tired was a small word for what she felt. She felt broken, empty, lost. Still, she whispered, "Thank you for everything." Zion didn't respond with big words. Instead, he simply brought her a glass of warm water and placed a blanket on the sofa for her. "Rest first. We will talk later." His kindness felt strange but comforting. As she rested on the sofa, Aryan came closer. He stood quietly beside her and held out a small chocolate. "You can take it," he said shyly. Aisha smiled softly. "Thank you, Aryan." She accepted the chocolate, and the little boy sat next to her carefully, as if she might break. Aisha watched him. His eyes carried a sadness she could not understand yet. After some time, Zion returned with a tray of food. You need to eat, he said. Aisha hesitated. Her heart felt too heavy for food. But she ate slowly, mostly because she didn't want to seem ungrateful. After dinner, Zion showed her the guest room. It was simple, but beautiful. Clean bed, soft pillows, warm colors. She stood silently at the door, feeling overwhelmed. This is too much, she whispered. You didn't have to do all this. Zion looked at her calmly. You helped me once when you didn't have to. I'm only returning the kindness. Aisha lowered her eyes. People from her past had used her kindness against her. But here someone was giving kindness back. For the first time in many days, she cried freely but quietly where nobody could see. The next morning, Aisha woke to the sound of soft footsteps. She walked out of her room and found Arian sitting at the table with his school bag. He waved shyly. Good morning, she smiled back. Good morning. Zion was preparing breakfast. Aisha immediately walked forward. I'll help. Zion raised an eyebrow. You don't have to, but she insisted. I want to. So they prepared the breakfast together. Arian watched them with a small smile, almost like he liked seeing them near each other. When it was time to leave, Arian tugged at Aisha's dupatta. Will you stay here? Today too? Aisha hesitated. Before Zion could speak, she replied softly, Yes, I'm here. The little boy smiled widely, a smile full of hope. Aisha's new role the next few days brought small changes. Expected. But gentle, Aisha helped around the house. She cooked sometimes. She read stories to Arian. She even helped Zion with some office files. Because she had experience with accounts. Slowly the house felt less empty, but with comfort came fear. People in the neighborhood started noticing. One afternoon, when Aisha was watering the plants, two women standing outside whispered loudly, Who is she? Maybe the CEO hired her as a nanny. Or maybe something else? Aisha felt her heart tighten. She didn't want trouble for Zion. That evening, she spoke to him. I think I should leave soon. Zion looked up from his laptop. His eyes were calm but firm. Leave. Why? She took a deep breath. People might misunderstand. Your image. Your career. Zion closed the laptop and stood. Aisha, let people think whatever they want. You needed help, and I offered it. That is all. His confidence, his steady voice, it gave her strength. But a small fear still lived in her heart. What if her past came back? What if someone found out she was living here? What if Fahad tried to hurt her again? She looked at Arian playing in the corner. She didn't want pain to ever reach this house. Zed walked closer and said gently, You are safe here. And Arian, he likes you. He feels happy again because of you. Aisha swallowed. She could feel her life changing, step by step. But she also knew. New comfort meant new challenges. New hope meant new fears. And she had no idea the biggest challenge was waiting just ahead. Someone from her past was about to return. Days passed, and Aisha slowly found a rhythm in Zion's home. She helped Arian with homework, cooked meals with gentle hands, and brought a soft peace into the house. Arian became more open, smiling more than before. Zion noticed it every day, the way Aisha's presence filled a quiet space that had been empty for a long time. But deep inside, Aisha still lived with fear. Fear of the world. Fear of her past. Fear of the doorbell ringing, and one day, that fear came true. It was a calm afternoon. Aisha was in the kitchen preparing tea. Zion had just returned from work and was helping Arian remove his school shoes. The house felt safe like always. Then suddenly the doorbell rang. A loud, sharp ring. Aisha froze. Her hands trembled. Her heartbeat raced. Something inside her whispered, It's him. Zion noticed her fear. Aisha, are you all right? Before she could answer, the doorbell rang again, this time more aggressively. Zion walked to the door and opened it, standing outside. He was the last person Aisha ever wanted to see. Faye. His face was angry and twisted with jealousy. His clothes were expensive, but his eyes were wild, full of rage and bitterness. Behind him stood his mother, looking exactly the same, cold, sharp, and cruel. Aisha stepped back instinctively, her breath shaking. Fahad pointed at her and shouted, "There she is! Living in another man's house?" Zion's face hardened. Arian hid behind him. Aisha couldn't speak. Her voice was trapped inside her chest. Fahad stepped forward, ignoring everyone. "You think you can leave me and run away? You think you can hide?" Aisha felt tears burning her eyes. "You threw me out," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Fahad laughed harshly. "Don't lie. You left because you wanted this." He pointed to Zion. Him. His money. His house. Zion stepped in front of Aisha, protecting her. His voice was calm but firm. "Enough. You don't get to insult her here," Fahad scoffed. "And who are you to stop me?" Zion's eyes turned sharp. "I know the truth about Aisha's medical reports." Silence. Fahad froze. His mother's face changed color. Aisha looked at Zion, shocked. He knew? He had found out on his own? Zion continued, "Yes, I saw the reports. All of them. Aisha is healthy. She can be a mother." Fahad's jaw tightened. His mother shouted, "Those reports are fake. She is infertile." Zion shook his head calmly. "No, the report with infertility belonged to your son." Fahad was the one with the issue. Aisha gasped. Her truth, finally spoken, her pain. Finally seen. Fahad's face turned red with anger and humiliation. "You have no right to read my files." Zion stepped closer. "I had every right when you started spreading lies and trying to ruin her life." Aisha felt her knees weaken. For the first time, someone was fighting for her. Fahad pointed at her again. "She is my wife. She belongs to me." Aisha took a step forward. Her voice was soft but strong. "I was your wife. You threw me out. You ended everything." Fahad looked shaken. He wasn't used to Aisha speaking for herself. She continued, "I begged you to listen. I begged you to check the truth. But you chose pride over love." Her words were simple but powerful. Fahad reached toward her angrily. "Come back home. Right now." Zion stepped between them again. "She is not going anywhere with you." Arian held Aisha's hand tightly. His small voice whispered, "Please don't leave." Aisha looked at the little boy, then at Zion, who stood strong, silent, steady. She felt something she had never felt in Fahad's house: respect, safety, value. Fahad shouted, "Shh, this is not over," and stormed out with his mother. The door closed. Silence filled the house. Aisha collapsed to her knees, crying softly, not from pain this time, but from relief. Zaina knelt beside her. "You are safe now. I promise." Ariane hugged her tightly. "Stay with us. Please." Aisha looked into Zion's eyes. There was no pressure, no force, only honesty. He whispered, "Aisha, you deserve love, real love. If you choose to stay here, it will be your choice." Aisha's tears fell again, but this time they carried hope. She finally whispered, "I want to stay." And in that moment, her painful past closed its door, and a new beginning opened, warm, gentle, and full of possibilities.